Welcome to Story Jam Theater. I'm your host, Chris Krimitsos. If you are moved and inspired by stories, then you're in the right place. On today's show, Marc Ensign talks about the concept of how he came up with his new book, Be a Dick. Now, it's not what you think, and you need to listen to the story to understand what that title means. So enjoy today's episode.
My name is Marc, and I am a dick. I'm a dick to all my friends. I'm a dick to my family. I'm a dick to people that I know, and I'm a dick to people that I don't know. And in fact, if we've ever bumped into each other, whether it be online or in real life, chances are I was a dick to you too. And it's nothing personal, and it's just who I am. But I haven't always been a dick. This all started about a little over a year ago, and this is that story. Meet Dick. Dick is my neighbor. He lives about 8 or 9 houses down the street from me. And he was the first person that I met when I moved to Tampa from New Jersey about a year and a half ago, a little less than a year and a half ago. And if you've ever moved more than 1,200 miles away from everything that's familiar to you, you know that feeling that you get when you walk through the door for the first time, and that wears off. You know, it's like a punch in the face. You don't know anybody. You don't know where you are. You don't know where anything is. Good luck finding a decent slice of pizza, especially in Tampa, no offense. And so I'm looking at all my stuff in this new house, packed up in boxes, one after another, everything I own. And I do what any rational person would do. I completely freak out. And so I ditch my wife, and I walk out the door. And I bring my kids with me just to ensure that I don't start walking north and make sure I come back. And so we start walking down the street, and that's when I meet Dick. And from the very first second that I met him, he was extraordinary. You could just tell. You know, the first thing that he did, before he even said a word to me, he introduced himself to my kids. But he didn't just introduce himself to, kids like maybe you or I would introduce ourselves to kids. You know, he got right down, eye to eye, looked at them, talked to them, asked them their names, and he listened to about 10 minutes worth of stories about Legos and American Girl dolls, superheroes, and he made them feel important, and he made them feel heard. And all he did was listen. That's all he had to do, and he just listened. And then when he drained them, when they had nothing else left, then it was my turn, and he gave me the same respect, and he just listened. And just one story after another. What are you asking me questions? Where are you from? What are you doing? And what brought you here? And so after I had gotten done, I guess he had seen the stress in my body language or heard, the panic in my voice, because rather than making the conversation about him at that point and telling me about who he was and what he did, he decided to offer some value, give me something of worth, something that I can hold on to. And he didn't split the atom, and he didn't cure world hunger or anything along those lines, but it was just as good for me at that time. It was the simple stuff. The code to get to the gate is 4890. Garbage day is Monday and Thursday. It's a great Chinese food place up on 54. All these things that I needed to know. He pointed out every house on our block that had kids that were similar to my kids' age, just to make them feel as though they had friends on the horizon. And one more thing, give me your email address, because I have a spreadsheet that I'm going to send over to you. For years, I've been vetting the best vendors in the area. So if you ever need an electrician, you ever need a plumber, you ever need a landscaper, you never have to worry about hiring the wrong company, because I got this. I vetted them. They're the best, organized. You're all set. And he sent that over to me. So it's July. I'm from New Jersey. I'm starting to melt in the heat, and it was time to move on. And as I start walking away, we split off and go back to our prospective homes. He says, "One more thing before you go." The ceilings in the homes around here are a lot higher than the ceilings are in New Jersey, right? So you're going to want to hang pictures of these beautiful kids of yours, and when you do, you're probably going to need a ladder. And when that happens, let me know, because I have two. And so with that, he solved a problem that he didn't even know I had. He just offered this solution, and made me feel as though I don't have to be that pain in the ass neighbor that knows nobody but needs something. And so we went about our business and went home. The next morning I woke up and I had to take the dog out for a walk, and by dog dog out for a walk, I use that term very loosely because she's this little puffball thing that I'm pretty sure requires D batteries, and she's part Shih Tzu and part Bichon, so technically she's a Bija shit. So we're taking the Bija. So I got to take the Bija shit out for a walk, and so I'm walking halfway around the block, and this woman comes running over to me, arms stretched out, excited, like to a point where I assumed it was dementia. And she's, "You must be Marc. I've heard so much about you. I'm Dick's wife." And that's how I met Rita. And so Rita and I talked for about 20 minutes. Usual stuff. This is where we're coming from. This is what we do. Tell me about your family, all that kind of stuff. And then I guess we had gotten on the conversation about decorating our house. And my wife and we suck at decorating. Like it's not totally fair. We don't suck at decorating. We're so much worse than suck at decorating. Like whatever that is, we're worse than suck at decorating. Don't tell her I said that. She doesn't know yet. And but we're just horrible. So she invites us over to her house so we can take a look around, because apparently Rita does not worse than suck at decorating. So she invites us over to her house, and about a week goes by, and over the weekend, the four of us truck down the street and ring the doorbell. Dick answers the door, and just like before, "Hey guys, talking to my kids," and he remembered their names. It was a week and a half later, or a week or so later. Met them for about 10 or 15, 20 minutes. He talked to them, and he remembered their names. They're my kids. I forget their names all the time, and he remembered their names. So he invites us into the house, and and if even any of you have like a 6-year-old, like you know the story. Like our 6-year-old it's our 6-year-old boy. He's like the human equivalent of like an F5 tornado. Like, this kid walks into a room and things immediately turn into dust, and we do that thing that parents do. You yell with your mouth closed and like you whisper, and you're like, "Don't touch anything. Just, like don't even touch the floor if you don't have to. Like, suspend yourself in midair right here, and we'll come get you when we're done." So that's what he does. We're just like, we're just, like we're panicking because we do this all the time, and we have plenty of stories where he's broken stuff. And Dick comes over. He said, "Well, hold on a second." And he gets down in Zach's face, and he said, "Zach, we're buddies, right?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And he goes, "Okay, well, you wouldn't break anything of mine, would you?" And he said, "No." Then he goes, "Then you go have fun." And with that, whatever it would cost to replace the bowl or the glass or the frame or whatever it is that this kid, ends up breaking, which he didn't, by the way, was a fraction of what it was worth for my kids to feel welcome in this man's house, 1,200 miles away from everything that they knew, everybody they knew, all their friends. And so we got inside and we started getting the tour and walking around their house, looking around. I mean, the guy showed us every inch of the house, sock drawer and everything. And during the course of our walk through the house, we walk into the living room, and there on the shelf, hidden in the back of the room, are a dozen Emmys. And I don't have an Emmy. So I saw a dozen Emmys, and that's pretty impressive to me. If I had, I've watched the Emmys, I think, once, and I'm pretty sure I tweeted the entire time, about watching the Emmys. So I can only imagine that, if I won an Emmy, let alone a dozen, I would have at least 2 of them turned into like earrings or something, and tattooed on my face. I would, but it just never came up that he had a dozen Emmys in his living room. And so I asked him about it, and his response was, it's just a little something I do. Hey, those are nice socks. Oh yeah, I got them at Macy's. It just was so, this is just what I do. And so, well, what is it that you do? Don't worry about it. Let me show you upstairs. And he was just so humble about it. Like, it wasn't a big deal. It's just what he did. It wasn't who he was, didn't find the person that he was. It was just something that he did. And so, I'm a storyteller, so I have to, Rita's going to tell me whether she likes it or not. And, I found out that For 40 years, he was the director and producer of some of the most widely watched sports shows on television. Wide World of Sports, Monday Night Football, the Olympics. And it just never came up. It wasn't that big of a deal. And so we ended up hanging out for a little while longer. We left. And as time went by, the days, the weeks, the months, we started expanding outside of our little bubble and became, just maintained our friendship with Dick down the street. And then something happened. It was my birthday, September 1st, 2013. And I get a knock on the door. And it's Dick. And so, hey, what's up? He's like, well, I saw that it was your birthday. And I noticed on Facebook that it was your birthday. And I know you're a Red Sox fan. And so I noticed that you're a Red Sox fan, the greatest team to ever play baseball. And and so while I was directing the Little League World Series 2 weeks ago, I walked around the stadium and found as many retired Red Sox players as I could, and they signed this official baseball for you. And he left. He just handed it to me and he left. And I'm staring at this baseball, and I'm speechless. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm like looking at this thing. And all I could think about was, my God, like this is who I want to be. Like this is how I want to show up to life and to business. And this is who I want to be to my friends and my family and people that I know and people that I don't know, people that I meet online and people that I meet in real life. I mean, I want to be engaged, and I want to be engaging, and I want to be valuable and welcoming and all of these things that's in this just random guy down the street from my house. And so I decided that I was going to study this. I was going to figure this out. There's a secret in here. And so I grabbed my pen and I started writing down all the things I loved about him. He's very perceptive, and he's very humble, and he's very this. And I came up with 12 of these core beliefs that I saw in this man. And so beginning September 1st, 2013, I gave the next year of my life practicing every single month. Every month I picked one. I'm going to be welcoming. I'm going to be more welcoming. I'm very, what a lot of you guys might not know, I'm extremely introverted, very shy. And so I put myself in this position where I was like, okay, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to meet every single person I can possibly meet. And I'm going to talk to every person I can possibly talk to. And so at the end of the month, I pushed myself to the point where I walked into a restaurant. My wife and I sat with a complete random couple because there were a couple extra seats and we didn't want to wait. And unbeknownst to them, we were going to join them for dinner, whether they liked it or not. And so introduced ourselves, and as it ends up, it was their first date night in 9 months, which is a terrible idea if you're going to join people for dinner to seek someone out whose date night was 9 months ago. But now we're committed, we're sitting down, and we find out that it's their last date night for 9 months because their daughter just finished chemo. 9 years old, and she had a tumor on her kidney. And we sat there for 2 hours crying and laughing and hearing all these incredible stories. We exchanged information. We became friends. Our daughter became friends with their daughter. And these people are, part of my life that I never would have met otherwise. And so month after month, I started doing all these things that pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. It was incredibly difficult. But here I am a year later, a completely different person than I was 1 year ago when I first moved to Tampa. You guys didn't know me from 2 years ago. And so my question to everybody in this room, is what if that was you? What if you approached life and your business and your employees and your family and your friends and the people that you interact with every single day from this place? What if you were welcoming and valuable, engaged, fascinating, humble, grateful, generous, forgiving, ambitious? All these things that I found in this guy, what if that was you and you spent every single day trying to be that person? What if you took the next 12 weeks instead of 12 months or maybe take 12 months and focus on this. And so my challenge to everybody in this room is to find out. And let's find out together, like what would happen if you spent the next year being a dick. Thank you.
To learn more about our storytellers, go to storyjamtheater.com. Make sure to live a life worth telling, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a Story Jam Theater podcast. Production support provided by Anthony Kovic of Real Video Production and Stuart Mackey of Mackey Productions. All stories are true as affirmed by the storytellers. Special thanks to the Film Commission of Florida, The Hive, and the Tampa Bay area.